I'm Stacy. Standing in the parking lot of the once-planned wedding venue, I watched as my family drove away in separate cars. My mother, silent and hollow-eyed, was in the car with my father. My sister, Lily, left with one of her bridesmaids, still sobbing uncontrollably. None of them even glanced my way. It was a stark contrast to the joyous celebration that was supposed to take place here just hours ago. Let me rewind a bit. I come from a middle-class family. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, are hard-working people. My father is a bit old-fashioned, always believing in family unity above all else, sometimes to the point of overlooking wrongdoings. My mother, on the other hand, is a bit more assertive and has a tendency to favor my younger sister, Lily, who is 26. I've always been the quiet achiever in the family. I graduated from Harvard with a master's degree in forensic finance, but my family thought I went to a local state college. I've been working as a senior inspector in the Financial Crimes Division of the Treasury Department for 9 years. My family assumed I was just a low-level bank employee, processing paperwork. I never bothered to correct them. A few weeks ago, Lily announced her engagement to Ethan. They were planning a grand wedding, but they soon ran into a budget crisis. One evening, we were all gathered around the dinner table, celebrating what my family thought was excellent news. Lily, sitting at the head of the table, practically beamed with satisfaction as she made her announcement. As I was saying, Lily said, swirling her champagne, I found the perfect solution to our wedding budget crisis. Stacy's savings account had exactly what we needed. I carefully put down my fork, maintaining the calm expression I've perfected over the years of investigating financial crimes. Could you repeat that? I asked. Oh, don't play innocent, Lily waved her hand dismissively. The account you barely touch, the one at Eastern Bank. I needed it more than you do. My mother reached over to pat Lily's hand. It's really the most practical solution, Stacy. You live in that small apartment and drive that old car. You clearly aren't investing in anything important. Lily's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I kept my voice level, the same tone I use when interviewing bank executives about suspicious transactions. How exactly did you access my account? Lily exchanged a look with my mother before answering. Mom still had your old account information from when you were in college. We used it to set up the transfer. Don't be so dramatic about this. I took a sip of water, processing what she said. And how much did you transfer? $45,000, Lily said proudly. It covered the venue upgrade, the designer dress alterations, and the honeymoon suite in the Maldives. The wedding planner said it's going to be absolutely spectacular now. My father finally spoke up from his end of the table. Stacy, your sister deserves this. She's worked so hard planning this wedding. You can always save more money. You're still young. I replied, I'm 34, Dad. Lily is 26. My mother interjected, exactly. You have plenty of time to rebuild your savings. Lily needs this now. Besides, what were you even saving for? You don't have a boyfriend. You're not buying a house. You just let money sit there doing nothing. I smiled slightly, thinking about the actual purpose of that account but said nothing. Ethan, Lily's fiancé, shifted uncomfortably beside her. Maybe we should have asked first, Lily. Oh, please, Lily rolled her eyes. It's family money. Why would she have said no anyway? I just saved us all the awkward conversation. Would I have? I asked quietly. Of course you would have, my mother said firmly. Because you're a good sister and because family helps family. We've always shared everything. I thought about the countless times my family had shared my belongings growing up. My scholarship money that funded Lily's shopping spree, my laptop that became Lily's when she said she needed it for school. When is the wedding? I asked. Lily's face lit up. Saturday. Just 4 days away. You're still coming, right? I know you've been busy with work, but you have to be there. Wouldn't miss it, I said truthfully. Where's the venue again? The Rosewood Manor, Lily practically squealed. That's what your money paid for. The upgrade from the garden pavilion to the grand ballroom. It's going to be absolutely perfect. 250 guests, a 15-piece orchestra, roses imported from France. Ethan's family is going to be so impressed. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Harris, who had been quietly observing from across the table, cleared her throat. It does sound lovely, Lily. Though I must say I'm surprised you had access to Stacy's accounts. That seems rather unusual. Oh, we're very close, my mother jumped in. Not like some families who keep secrets from each other. We share everything. Stacy understands that Lily's happiness is the family's happiness. I noticed Mrs. Harris's eyebrows rise slightly, but she said nothing more. Well, I stood up, folding my napkin. This has been illuminating. I should get going. Early morning tomorrow. Still working that boring bank job? Lily asked with a hint of mockery. What is it you do again? Process paperwork or something? Something like that, I replied evenly. Congratulations on the wedding, Lily. I hope everything goes exactly as planned. My mother stood to hug me. Don't be upset, sweetheart. This is for the best. And who knows? Maybe you'll meet someone at the wedding. We've seated you with some of Ethan's single colleagues. I smiled and said nothing. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. A text from my colleague, Agent Miller. Wire transfer flagged in Eastern Bank System. Unauthorized access pattern matches your case parameters. Need you to verify. I texted back, verified. Subject is family member. Proceeding with scheduled protocol. His response was immediate. Confirmed. Team mobilizes Friday evening. Venue secured for Saturday morning. I drove home to my apartment, a cozy downtown loft I bought with cash 4 years ago, and opened my laptop. The Eastern Bank account Lily had raided wasn't my primary account. It was a monitored account I maintained specifically for my work in investigating financial crimes, a joint task force between the Treasury Department and the FBI. The $45,000 Lily had stolen was federal monitoring money, part of a larger investigation into Eastern Bank's internal security failures. My mother's access to old account information shouldn't have worked. The bank system should have required updated authorization. The fact that the transfer went through represented a significant security breach, exactly the kind of vulnerability my team had been documenting for 20 months. Lily had just provided the perfect real-world test case of systematic failure. I pulled up my files on the Eastern Bank investigation. 8 months ago, we'd identified multiple instances where outdated account authorizations remained active in their system. Elderly customers had reported unauthorized transfers by estranged family members. Small business owners discovered former partners still had access years after removal. The bank had insisted their security protocols were flawless. Now I had personal evidence to the contrary. My phone rang. Director Parker, my supervisor at the Treasury Department. Stacy, I heard about the flag. Are you all right? I'm fine, sir. Actually, this incident provides perfect documentation for our case. Your own family raided a federal monitoring account? They didn't know it was a federal monitoring account. They thought it was my personal savings. There was a pause. That's still theft. Sir, which is why I've already filed the required reports. The money was transferred to multiple vendors for a wedding event. The venue is the primary recipient, the Rosewood Manor. I've requested coordination with the FBI fraud unit for Saturday morning. Stacy, you understand this will involve your family members being questioned. I understand completely, sir. The law applies to everyone equally. Another pause. All right. I'll authorize the operation. But I want you off the direct interview team. You can be present, but Miller leads. Understood. Friday morning, I went to work at the Federal Reserve Building as usual. My actual office wasn't at a bank branch. I worked in financial crimes investigation, specifically examining how banks failed to protect customer assets. My family had no idea about the level of my work. Agent Miller stopped by my desk. The Rosewood Manor is cooperating fully. When we explained a federal investigation was involved, they offered complete access. Apparently, your sister has been difficult with their staff. That sounds like Lily. The venue coordinator mentioned that Lily insisted on contract terms that raised some flags. She demanded all deposits be non-refundable and all payments be made in advance, cash or wire transfer only. No credit cards. I looked up sharply. That's unusual. That's what we thought. We pulled the venue's records. She's not the first client to request these terms, but she is the first one whose funding source came from a flagged account. Do you think the venue might be involved in something larger? Miller shrugged. Too early to tell, but it's interesting. We're expanding the investigation scope. Friday evening, my mother called. Stacy, sweetie, I just wanted to make sure you're not upset about the money situation. You understand it was for the best, right? I understand perfectly, Mom. Good, because Lily was worried you might make a scene at the wedding. You won't, will you? I won't make a scene, Mom. I promise everything will proceed according to protocol. Protocol? What an odd way to put it. Anyway, the rehearsal dinner is tonight, but I know you're too busy with work. We'll see you tomorrow at the wedding. 2:00 sharp. Don't be late. I'll be there early, actually. Oh. Well, that's sweet. Maybe you can help with last-minute preparations. Something like that. Saturday morning arrived cool and clear. I dressed in my usual professional attire, a tailored black suit, crisp white shirt, and the credentials badge I typically kept in my desk drawer. I arrived at the Rosewood Manor at 8:30 a.m. The venue was a beautiful historic mansion with well-manicured gardens and a ballroom that could host events for 600 guests. The parking lot was already busy with catering trucks and florist vans. I could see wedding decorations being arranged through the tall windows. I parked next to the 3 black SUVs already positioned near the main entrance. Agent Miller met me at the door along with 6 other federal agents and 2 representatives from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Morning, Inspector Thompson. Ready? Ready. The venue coordinator, a polite woman named Miss Green, approached us nervously. The bride arrived 20 minutes ago. She's in the bridal suite with her bridesmaids and mother. Should we? We'll need to speak with her, Miller said professionally. But first, we need to secure the venue and document the financial transactions. No one leaves until we've completed our initial interviews. Ms. Green nodded, her face pale. I should mention, when I informed Miss Thompson that there was an issue with her payment, she became quite aggressive. She insisted everything was paid in full and threatened to sue us for breach of contract. What issue with the payment? I asked. Ms. Green glanced at me, then at my badge. The wire transfer was flagged by our bank this morning. They put a hold on it pending verification. I tried to explain to Ms. Thompson that we needed to confirm the source of the funds, but she wouldn't listen. Miller and I exchanged looks. The Eastern Bank security protocols had finally kicked in. 24 hours too late, but better than never. Let's go have a conversation with the bride, Miller said. We walked through the elegant hallway toward the bridal suite. I could hear Lily's voice before we reached the door. I don't care what your bank says. That money is mine. I transferred it legally from a family account. This is my wedding day, And if you think I'm going to let some banking error ruin it, you're insane. Miller knocked firmly on the door. Lily yanked it open, her face flushed with anger. She was already in her wedding dress, an elaborate creation of satin and lace that probably cost $18,000. What now? I already told you people. She stopped mid-sentence when she saw the federal badges. Ms. Lily Thompson? Miller said formally. I'm Special Agent Miller with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. These are my colleagues from the Treasury Department's Banking Inspection Division. We need to speak with you about a wire transfer made from Eastern Bank on Tuesday evening. My mother appeared behind Lily, her face going white. What is this? What's happening? Then she saw me standing slightly behind Miller in my full credentials. Stacy, what are you wearing? Why do you have a badge? Mrs. Thompson, we need to speak with both you and your daughter about unauthorized access to a federal monitoring account, Miller continued. Federal monitoring account? Lily's voice rose to a shriek. It was Stacy's savings account. No, I said quietly, stepping forward. It was an account maintained by the Treasury Department for investigating banking security failures. The account you accessed belongs to the federal government. The money you transferred was federal funds. The color drained from Lily's face completely. You work for the government? I'm a senior inspector with the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Division. I've held this position for 9 years. The account you accessed on Tuesday was part of an active federal investigation into Eastern Bank security protocols. My mother grabbed the doorframe for support. But you said you worked at a bank. You said it was just paperwork. I investigate financial crimes at banks. There's quite a bit of paperwork involved. You assumed I was a teller. I never corrected you. Miller pulled out his tablet. Ms. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson, you're both going to need to come with us for formal questioning. The unauthorized transfer of federal funds is a serious offense. But I didn't know, Lily's voice cracked with panic. How was I supposed to know it was a government account? It was just sitting there. That's part of the problem we're investigating, I said calmly. The fact that you were able to access the account at all represents a significant security failure by Eastern Bank. However, the transfer itself still constitutes theft of federal property. 3 bridesmaids had appeared in the doorway behind Lily. Their faces were masks of shock. This is insane, my mother said, her voice shaking. Stacy, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them you gave us permission. I didn't give you permission, Mom. I didn't even know about the transfer until Lily announced it at dinner on Tuesday. At which point I immediately filed the required federal reports. You filed reports on your own family? My mother's voice was disbelieving. I filed reports on a federal crime. The relationship of the perpetrators to me is irrelevant to the law. Miller gestured toward the hallway. Ladies, if you'll come with us. We have interview rooms set up in the venue's conference center. But the wedding, Lily was crying now, mascara beginning to run. The guests are arriving in 5 hours. Ethan is already at the church. This can't be happening. The venue is currently secured as part of our investigation, Miller said. No event will be taking place here today. As if on cue, 2 more agents appeared, speaking with the catering staff who were starting to arrive. I could see the florists being redirected, the musicians being stopped at the entrance. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Harris, came rushing down the hallway. What on earth is happening? Security won't let anyone into the ballroom, and there are federal agents everywhere. She stopped when she saw the scene at the bridal suite door. Mrs. Harris, I apologize for the disruption. There's been a significant development regarding the funding source for this event. The venue is currently part of an active federal investigation, I said professionally. Mrs. Harris's eyes widened as she took in my credentials badge. You're Stacy, what is this? I'm Senior Inspector Stacy Thompson, Treasury Department Financial Crimes Division. Your future daughter-in-law and my mother accessed a federal monitoring account without authorization. The funds used to pay for this wedding were obtained illegally. Mrs. Harris turned to look at Lily, who was now sobbing openly. You stole federal money? I didn't steal it. It was Stacy's account. How was I supposed to know she worked for the government? Perhaps, Mrs. Harris said icily, you should have asked before taking money that didn't belong to you, regardless of who it belonged to. My father arrived next, having apparently been parking the car. What's all this commotion? Lily, why are you crying? The wedding doesn't start for hours. He stopped when he saw the federal agents. Mr. Thompson, your wife and daughter are being detained for questioning regarding the theft of federal funds. Are you aware of any involvement you may have had in accessing or authorizing the transfer from Eastern Bank? Miller asked. My father's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. He looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. What's happening, Stacy? Lily and Mom stole $45,000 from a federal monitoring account, Dad. I'm the federal inspector responsible for that account. The wedding is canceled, and they're both facing potential criminal charges. But, you work at a bank. You process paperwork. I investigate financial crimes at banks. I have a master's degree from Harvard in forensic finance. I've worked for the Treasury Department for 9 years. I hold level 4 security clearance. I've testified before Congress, and the account Lily raided was federal property. Lily slumped against the doorframe. This isn't real. This can't be real. My wedding. Ethan appeared at the end of the hallway, still in his casual clothes, clearly confused by the scene. Lily, baby, what's wrong? Why are there federal agents here? Mrs. Harris turned to her son. Ethan, we need to talk. Now. As Ethan and